Here we go with a quick little video about the last part of our pain control drugs. This is still in chapter 7, but if you see it, it's only like a page and a half, really, if you look at it, especially with the charts and the boxes and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully this will be, let me get my clicker here ready to go. Hopefully this will be a quick one. I'm going to expand a little bit more than your text does, so this little PowerPoint thing will be important, and I'll let you know when that comes along. So your book does talk about the mechanism and effects of it. It doesn't go into the detail I do right here, but ultimately it stops the nerve impulse at that, at the synapse, or really, but here's what I'm focusing on. It prevents that sodium influx, which is what causes an action potential on nerve impulses. And so if you can prevent that part, you prevent that depolarization part, then you don't get any kind of nerve impulses. So anyway, that's pretty basic stuff there. The effect is definitely geared towards pain, but as you guys know, everybody's had some kind of anesthetic in the past. You know that it numbs everything. It numbs all your sensory nerves as well, and so it's not just the pain. The pain, we get the pain, but the nerves, the sensory stuff goes away as well. There's a number of different types, and your book doesn't go as in depth. This is from the other text that I used to use, and I never really got this in depth as far as identifying which is an ester anesthetic or an amide anesthetic. Just give you an idea. You don't worry about memorizing these or remembering the difference between the two classes of anesthetics, but just to get an idea that some are short, some are longer acting, and there's different categories of these anesthetics. I do give you a couple of examples here, but again, we'll have some common meds at the end that I add. This is the one thing that I kept from the last text that is not in this text. So there's one thing that I a lot of times when anesthetics are given, especially injection wise, a small amount of epinephrine is added, as you can see the bullet points there. So if we look at an area of tissue and basically the little capillary bed right here, and we're going to inject the area with this anesthetic. Here's the nerve impulse, or here's the nerve of the synapse, like a receptor coming, and then this is the first order neuron that goes to the spinal cord, and we're going to inject our anesthetic right here in this tissue-y area. This vasoconstriction that comes from epinephrine is geared towards, or is intended to constrict these little capillary beds to kind of prevent that amount of blood from coming through this specific area and flushing away, because this whole area is going to be bathed in anesthetic, and so this anesthetic is going to work as long as it can act on this nerve, and as soon as this little local blood flow washes it away, then the sensation comes back. And so by constricting these little arterioles, we can kind of prevent that for a little bit longer from happening. So make sure you have an idea of why epinephrine would be in a anesthetic type injection and that kind of stuff. There's a number of different ways that this can be delivered. Your book talks about it. Obviously through the skin. The peripheral block is just locally in a specific tissue. So if we're doing a hand surgery, we might just do it right over the hand, or you get this peripheral when you go to the dentist and you just get a couple of shots of Novocaine, and then you can't feel your lips and your cheeks and that kind of stuff, and hopefully you can't feel the pain either. And then this is the central block, is definitely at the spinal cord level. Your book does talk, I think your book mentions about like an epidural type administration in that in that spinal column, that central nervous system that blocks the transmission from a whole nerve, or nerve distribution kind of thing as they go down there. All right, so I mentioned this, pretty straightforward. Nothing I really want to expand on in these. There are some adverse effects, especially as you get in higher concentrations, which is obviously a little more likely. Not as much with, the transdermal or even some of the injected. You can get, a little bit too much on uninjected, but mostly the peripheral stuff, or I'm sorry, the central stuff that sort of talk. You can get some of these issues here that cause. That cause some of the adverse effects. If you get too much of this, then we have some significant adverse effects as we go. All right. Pretty straightforward. I don't want to explain anything else here. Indications, you guys, before even seeing this, even reading anything about anesthetics, if I asked you, hey, what are the indications for using a local anesthetic, you guys would have a pretty good jump on trying to list those kind of things. So your book talks about it really quickly. Topically, there's all kinds of skin, inflammatory skin conditions that can be beneficial when we talk about anesthetics, and a lot of the creams and treatments have some kind of a mild anesthetic. There's some transdermal stuff right now as well, and then contraindications. Again, straightforward, nothing I need to really expand on that much. So I told you it was going to be short, and there's my goofy picture. I'm going to get you the meds for your common meds notebook. I didn't get a sign. I need to get a sign on this one. I've been doing my little street signs. They're not street signs, my billboard signs. But anyway, these are the ones that you're going to do for anesthetics, and this should wrap up our pain control. So really straightforward, nothing too complicated other than just knowing a couple basic things.